Welcome back, guys, to yet another episode in the WoW Token Challenge. Today, we are still stuck in the Barrens, but we have made a considerable amount of progress, and I've had some plans to return to some of the farms that we haven't been spending too much time on, just to test whether or not the RNG gods are on our side. Only time will tell, and you'll see more of that in the episode. And speaking of RNG, we are, of course, as always, doing a giveaway for this episode. All you have to do is like the video, and then number 2, type a comment down below about something that you're enjoying in World of Warcraft at the moment. Also, maybe if you're potentially preparing for Mist of Pandaria. And also, I would like to ask you guys, I'm not entirely 100% sure how much I'll be playing Mist of Pandaria Classic, but would you guys like to see a challenge like this, perhaps? In Mist of Pandaria Classic, in one of the zones, or in the starting areas? Maybe you would like to see some gold making related content. That's really it. I was just going to ask you guys that. Now, another thing is I saw a lot of the votes that you guys had on the last episode, but as I also asked you guys in the comments of which zone that you would prefer for me to go after the Barrens, I also made a community post on my channel, and we have currently 294 votes, and by the time that this episode comes out, you can still vote on it, because I won't put all the votes together before I actually complete the Barrens, but I will take into consideration all the comments, of course, and then I'll look at this poll. But currently it looks like Ashenvale is winning, so it most likely will be Ashenvale depending on when we actually end up finishing the goal here. But again, thank you guys so much for always enjoying the series and appreciating it. And as well, remember to subscribe to the channel, because then you won't be missing any future videos. But that's enough yapping for now. Let's get straight into the episode. I've seen a lot of comments that have requested more farming sessions, or seeing more of the actual farming. So this episode will be featuring a lot more of that, and not only from the dungeon here that we've been spending more time on, but also some of the other farms that we do in the open world. So even though you might have seen some of them before, then we have some of it recorded, and you guys can see like the whole process as we continue to farm. Now, at the time of recording this particular segment, I can just show you guys, we have done, when it loads, we have done 130 runs in Race from Crawl. So it's quite a lot of runs, especially if you compare it to where we were at the last episode. But we're going to continue running in here, because there's actually still a decent amount of stuff that we can get from here. And also, something that I noticed, once we actually start getting a lot of the duplicates, which we have been, because we have a pretty big portion of the loot table in there, since we're disenchanting so many items, we actually get a good bit more of consistent gold out of here. And as you guys might remember, we also get a fair bit of, well, skinning materials, because of all the mobs that we can skin in the dungeon. So the actual consistent gold from here is pretty good, and I'd actually like to show you guys how much it is now that we disenchant some more items. So that's the other reason why I wanted to show like an hour of farming in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 10 runs, which takes about an hour, and then I'll get back to you guys at the end and show you what the loot is and how many materials we have, so you guys can see the consistent gold, but then also if we get any cool transmog drops. And as per usual, I'll show you guys some of the runs sped up so you can follow along, and then we'll cut right to the loot after 10 runs. But yeah, let's get straight into it. 1 hour has been completed. We did only get to do 9 total runs and not 10, because when I'm spending so much time cleaning out the inventory and also disenchanting more items, it does slow us down a little bit. But I think, 9-10 runs in an hour is still pretty good. Now, I did disenchant anything that was something we had a bunch of duplicates of already. Obviously, if we get some like really high value stuff, I won't be disenchanting it. But if it's on the lower side and we have a lot of duplicates, I mean, it's getting disenchanted because we're not going to be able to sell that many pieces of one particular mog for a lot of gold. So I am disenchanting some of those things. Now, as you can see, we actually only have 5 gear pieces here and a couple of recipes that we don't have too many of. But we only have 5 pieces of gear that I decided to keep. The rest of it has been disenchanted. I disenchanted quite a lot of items because you can see right here that have 126 greater eternal essences, which is 1100 gold, almost 1200 gold. Pretty nice. We also got about 176 in rich illusion dust, and then also 362 in large brilliant shards. Now these two put together probably like 230 gold on top of this. So we'll call that 1500 total in enchanting materials. Now next to that, we got a couple of small bits and bobs. We're not gonna count that because it's so minuscule. But we got about 40 to 50 gold in boar ribs. And we also got in a heavy hide, we got 1100. This can change quite a lot because it's a low drop rate, but 14 is pretty decent. Then we also got 11 medium hide, and then we got 203 heavy leather and 160 medium leather. So if we put that all together, 1500 in the enchanting materials, and then we got 1100, probably 1200, plus this, which will be 28, and then this will be 36. So we'll call that 3600 plus the 1500. So we're a little over 5000 gold, plus the bits and bobs here. It'll probably account for some of the auction house cuts that we're going to have. So yeah, about approximately 5000 gold in materials that we got for an hour of farming. Pretty decent. We also, as you can see, for currency looted, we got 641 gold. So if we take that on top, that's a nice little pretty penny. That's just raw gold that we're getting from killing mobs, and it's pretty decent for 9 runs. So a little over 5000 gold, 641 gold in raw gold, and then a couple of green items and a couple of recipes. It's pretty decent because if we compare it to the open world farm that we would do for skinning, obviously we would be getting greens as well. It's just not the same loot table as what we can have inside the dungeon, which, that does change things up a little bit. But in the open world, if we do the skinning farm, we get about approximately 7,000 gold. Maybe if we push it and we get lucky, about 8,000 gold. So it is a little bit better to do the open world farm if we're going purely for materials. But if we also want the opportunity to get a bunch of good transmog, well, then doing a dungeon is, a lot better. So that's pretty much how it looks, now that you guys also know that. So we're gonna go ahead and continue onto some other farms. One thing that I wanted to spend a bit more time on is this farm right here. It's Frey Island, and there is one particular item that I want from here. There is other stuff that we can get, but this one is the one that I want. It's the Deckhands shirt. Now this shirt, as you can tell right here, is a ridiculously low drop rate. From the Cannoneers, which are the ones that we're going to go for the most, it has a 0.07% drop rate, and if we're talking the Cutthroats or the Privateers, it is 0.01%. So it's an astronomically low drop rate, but I thought, hey, it's fun to test our RNG, and if we do get it, I mean, it'd be awesome to have on the auction house. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time doing this rotation. Now, the plan is literally to run around the entire island, inside the buildings and outside the buildings, and kill all the mobs. There's also mobs here in the boats. I'll show some of me farming it on a sped up section so you guys can kind of like figure it out. And then whenever I decide that I am done for now, and probably will be moving over to trying our luck at the sludge fen for the broken wine bottle for fishing. I'll show you guys what we have for loot, and I mean, hopefully we have the decade shirt, but it's a very, very low drop rate, so we'll see whether or not the RNG gods will bless us. We have done about half an hour, as you can tell from our loot appraiser, of trying to get the deckhand shirt, and we have had no luck. As you might have also spotted in the sped up version, we have a little bit of competition. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this is enough for now. This is also similar to what I've been spending around this spot every other time that I've gone over here, like 20-30 minutes. And then we move somewhere else, because as fun as trying our luck with RNG is, if we do nothing but try for this and we spend an astronomical amount of hours trying to get it, it's not really worth it. So overall, it's still kind of fun to try our luck for this RNG farm, in particular just because the deckhand shirt is worth so much and has such a low drop rate. And the same thing goes for the broken wine bottle, which is actually the one that I want to go over to now. If you didn't see it in some of the previous episodes, all it is there's one location, okay? Right up here at the sludge fen, northern parts of the Barrens, we have the opportunity to fish up a broken wine bottle. And the drop rate is extremely low. Pretty similar to how we have with the deckhand shirt. So I also don't think that we're necessarily going to get it, but we're going to spend a little bit of time in trying to get it, because this here is what it looks like, and it has a fair bit of value on the auction house as well. This obviously depends on the server. I'm pretty sure the last time I looked it was around 90k, 100k maybe on my server. But it is a pretty interesting piece. But as you can see right here, the drop rate is it says 0% on here. So but that's why you can see 15 out of 935,000 fish. So it's also like it's a little. Some people here are saying 0.2%. So no matter what, no matter how you look at it, it is extremely low. So I'll be spending a little bit more time here, and I'll speed it up for you guys so you guys can see it as well again. And if we get lucky, we get lucky. If not, we don't. And then we move on to something else. Also, we did get a couple of greens as drops from the other farm that we did with the deckhand shirt on Frey Island. But nothing that's particularly out of the ordinary. We did get a couple of greens just now because I killed some rares. But that farm over here at Frey Island, this is not worth it unless you're trying to test your luck. And the same thing goes for this that we're about to do right now for the broken wine bottle. But let's see. Let's test our luck. Unfortunately, we have not been lucky with fishing for the broken wine bottle either. I don't want to give it too much time. I just want to, you know, every once in a while we pop by and we check it out and we see if we can get lucky. And that's the way I want to keep it. Because if we do nothing but RNG farms, the progress will be very, very slow. Especially if we do not get lucky. And yeah, I mean, that's those two, which are the like upper class RNG farms that we have here in the zone. Outside of that, we don't have any that are for the particular purpose of RNG. But I will continue on my adventures of the regular farms, which will be the open world farm that I do with the rare rotation and then skinning, of course. And then we'll be disenchanting anything that we have too many duplicates of, or anything that has a value of lower than 100 gold posted on the auction house. And I'll probably also be doing some more dungeons. So we'll see what we can get. There actually is, right now, in my inventory, something that I did get in some of those dungeon runs. And I will be doing more, of course. There is one item in particular, and you might be able to spot it right down here. Vikar's robe. Now, this item, at least from what I can tell based on its values, posted across, well, a lot of different servers, but also the region sale average being 46k. This particular item is, I don't want to call it a super item from, from Race and Crawl, but it is probably one of the highest or at least most valuable things from the dungeon. Now, it doesn't look that particularly insane. It might also just be because, you know, we're on a we're on orc, but it is a very rare item. I actually haven't checked the drop rate, but considering this value, it's got to be astronomically low. So it's not that we're super unlucky across the board, but we have also done a considerable amount of runs when it comes to Race and Crawl, because as you can see, we've done 105 runs so far. And at the end of this episode, that number is definitely going to be higher. Now, let's get back to it. And if I find anything else, any other farms or anything interesting, I'll show that to you guys. But in case I don't, the next thing that you will most likely see is going to be, as per usual, the slash blade and the mailbox. And we'll check out what the progress is looking like in this episode. We've gotten to the point in the episode where I go over my slash blade and I show you guys the progress that we have made out of the mailbox. Now, as you can see right down here in the corner, in case you can't, we are at 10 days, 21 hours, and 53 minutes. So since the last episode, we've spent approximately like 14 hours, which is a decent amount of time, and we've made a good amount of progress. Now, in the mailbox, we have 41,149 gold. And before we get into that, I would like to mention that we are actually also 4,000 gold higher in raw gold. And that's because every time we do about 10 runs of Razor from Crawl, we do actually get about 600-700 gold of just pure raw gold from currency looted. So it does increase on that front a little bit slowly outside of what we sell in the auction house, so that is a good part. So we could technically consider the amount of gold that we've made since the last mailbox to be 45k, give or take approximately. So as you can see, we did get a Slayer Sash sale here for 1200 gold, pretty nice to see. Other than that, we have another Stonecloth belt here, 238. And then we have a couple of formulas, well, a formula and a recipe. We also have the ceremonial leather ankle guards for 1900 gold. Awesome sale. Really can't complain there. And then, as per usual, you can see all of the materials that we're farming. We have some more lion meats, a bunch of the enchanting materials, and then, of course, skinning materials. There's some more lion meat right there. Pretty nice to see it sell. We still do have quite a lots of lion meat, by the way, on the auction house. We actually have another 41 there, so it does slowly sell, but we still have a good amount on the auction house. But then you can see we sold a big portion of heavy hide here for 81 pieces for 5,300. Really nice to see. We also sold a watcher's cap here for 190. So there's a couple of you know, transmog pieces sprinkled into the system here. And then you can see we got a bunch of pattern sales here for almost nothing. They're posted for very, very low prices because there's a lot of competition. So somebody decided to swoop in and pick them all up. And I mean, this really wasn't that hard for us to get. As you can see, we had quite a lot of them. So it's not a big deal. We take that gold. And then it's more materials and nothing out of the ordinary. I don't really see any other like transmog sales. We had a big old portion of Greater Eternal Essences sell here. The more heavy leather. And then we have two other plans, very low value ones as well, and then just more materials. So the vast majority of this is materials again. We do have, you know, this one for 1200 and this one for 1900, and then a couple of, you know, 100 gold-ish, couple 100 gold-ish transmog pieces. So overall, still materials carrying the trope. I will say, on the auction house, we do have a really, really high amount of stuff on here posted. Really high value stuff. Still hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of items. And that's actually something that I wanted to ask you guys about for the people that are watching this far into the episode, because you guys clearly like the series. I wanted to ask, what do you think we should do when we move into the next zone? Because if you watched Duratar, when we left Duratar, I quick sold or dumped all of the stuff that we have on the auction house so we could start a brand new fresh auction house. Now, should we do that again when we move out of the Barrens? Because there's almost no chance, there's literally no chance that we will be able to sell every single transmog piece that we have here in the auction house. So do you think that we should either vendor or dump a lot of this stuff when we move into the new zone? Or do you think we should just hold on to it and keep it as a part of our gold making opportunities when we are moving into a new zone? I'd love to hear you guys' opinion on it. I think I'm actually just going to leave it up to a community sentiment. So if you guys want me to get rid of these items so we have a clean auction house for the new zone, I'll do that. If you think we should keep them so we have a buffed up auction house so we don't just randomly get rid of a bunch of these items, then I'll do that. So I'll pretty much leave that up to you guys. We are not quite there. We are not there fully yet. But we have made a considerable amount of progress, and we are going to hit the 200k mark in this episode, which is very, very good. It's not too long now because we're making a lot of progress, and at any point, a lot of those high-value transmog items on the auction house, they could sell, and that would speed run the rest of what we need. Now, one thing that is really interesting is that the token is 362k right now, but this has been peaking up to close to 400k a couple of times in the last couple of days. So whether or not that's going to be the case whenever we get close to finishing, I mean, we'll see. So maybe we're going to have to spend some more time on farming some gold. But right now, we are over halfway, which is really, really awesome. And we will be spending more time on some of the RNG farms, as you saw in this episode, just for the fun of it. And then the open world farms, and also more of the dungeons. But as always, I hope you guys have really enjoyed this episode, and I hope you are excited for more. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel and put all the notifications on so you do not miss a future episode. But that is everything that I had for this particular episode. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.